At some point or another, we all experience dark times. We all experience heartbreak. We all experience less than ideal situations that we need help navigating through. And hey guys, what is up? It's your girl Stephanie, aka the Limitless Babe, reminding you today and every day that you are limitless. So today, I want to talk about how to pull yourself out of a dark place or out of a rut. All right. So this can go for many different circumstances. Maybe you're just navigating through a particularly tough time in your life. Maybe you're having some extenuating circumstances surrounding you. Maybe you're going through a breakup. Maybe you are battling with intense PMS symptoms. Maybe you struggle with mental health. Maybe not necessarily a mental health disorder, but every now and then you go through intense mood swings and you're trying to, navigate that. So while I am not a doctor, I did want to take a minute and offer you guys my top tips of how I navigate through challenging circumstances and pull myself out of ruts or dark times in my life. Okay, because the reality is that we need help pulling our mood and our heart space out of, right? Like we need help just feeling like ourselves again. Sometimes you just go through things that you don't feel like yourself and you want to. So for that reason, I've decided to make this video. And ironically, I didn't do it on purpose. As I was writing my notes, when I went back to number them, it just so happened to be 10. So I feel like that's just like a nice, perfect round number. Also, before I even get started, if you haven't, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, to like the video, to share with me a comment, just anything, help the channel grow. Also, this video is pretty closely related to two videos that I made maybe like a year and a half ago or so. It was September of 2023. I made two videos about tips to relieve anxiety. So while I'm technically not talking about anxiety per se or CPTSD from narcissistic abuse, um, this can also help with those situations. So if you want to maybe revert back to those videos and check them out, I'll make sure to put the link for those videos in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to look at my notes because I made a long list of notes. I didn't want to lose track. So pulling yourself out of darkness. Tip number one, and this is going to be the most uncomfortable one to hear, but it's the most necessary one. First and foremost, you have to allow yourself to feel it. I know you didn't want to hear me say that. I know you thought, Steph, I thought you were going to give me tips on how to not feel it. But here's the thing. And I've said it before. I've made a whole video about it when I talked about grief. What you resist persists. So if you refuse to allow yourself to feel all those gross, yucky feelings that you don't want to feel, they're just going to stay stagnant in your body, right? And here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize or give credit to the fact that a lot of, maybe not all, but a lot of autoimmune disorders develop from us not learning how to properly release those gross, yucky, angry feelings in a healthy manner. It is perfectly okay to let yourself cry. It's perfectly okay to beat up a pillow or to scream at the top of your lungs in your car or journal about it or whatever it is. Like these are things that while they might not necessarily feel good, well, it does feel good actually once you release it. But the thought of doing them doesn't feel good. It feels like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. I don't want to acknowledge that I actually feel this way. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but what you don't realize is again, like I just said, emotions are energy in motion, right? It's feelings in motion. So when you don't let them move through your body, they stay stuck in your body. And when they stay stuck in your body without a healthy outlet, then they manifest in forms of illness, physical illness, mental illness. It all manifests through pain and discomfort and even anxiety in your body. So it's super important that you guys learn whatever healthy outlet works for you to actually give yourself time to feel those feelings and do your best to release as much of it as possible. I'm not saying that, this is magic and oh, if you let yourself cry for an hour, it's gone. No, that's not, I can't make that promise. I mean, it might be, but I can't make that promise. But what I can say is that if you don't give yourself any time to feel the feelings, it's going to come up later on in life in ugly, unexpected ways, whether, like I said, that is through physical illness or even just you lashing out at the wrong person at the wrong time. Okay. Those feelings don't just dissipate and go away. You know, people say time heals all wounds. Yeah, it does, but you got to do the work to start the processing. If you don't start processing, it just stays no matter how much time passes. And then eventually something's going to trigger you and you're going to let it out at the wrong time. So my first tip is definitely first and foremost, give yourself some time to feel those feelings. Um, Now, I'm not gonna say give yourself a year, give yourself months. No, like I think ideally you want to give yourself maybe like a day up to a week. A week, don't let it pass a week, guys, because a week is just now it's getting in the way of your life. And you don't want to give so much importance to something that is temporary in your life, right? You don't want that to hold you back. You don't want that to put you in a place of stalemate and being stuck. So I would say try to cap it at a week, and even that's pretty long. I would say give it like a couple days, um, and then start moving through the next steps, okay? So let me get back to my notes, hold on. So number 2, and I have talked about this before, um, discipline over motivation. I actually wanna read what I wrote. This doesn't mean that we perfectly execute the things that we want, but it does mean that we consistently keep trying to get back on track. Offer yourself grace when you mess up, but keep trying. Don't give up. Don't beat yourself up. Habits don't develop overnight, but once they do, it becomes so much easier. And as you see yourself gradually accomplishing your goals through discipline, believe it or not, that actually starts to build this feeling of confidence and pride in ourselves because we start to be able to trust ourselves that when we say we're going to do something, we follow through. We do it. When we can count on ourselves to keep our word with ourselves and to do what we know intellectually is best for ourselves, it just creates this level of worthiness inside us that reminds us, no, I'm amazing. I am good enough. I am worthy. And that's why I just want to really instill in you guys to start focusing on discipline. So now I gave you that quick speech, but what does that mean, Steph? What are you talking about? Now make it make sense, right? Okay, so discipline. Maybe make a list of the things that you know that you're not doing because you're hyper fixated and focused on whatever this pain is, right? What have you not been doing for yourself that when you were in your happiest, best place, you were doing? Okay. So, like for me, I would always think, okay, am I doing my morning meditation? Am I doing my yoga? Am I working out? Am I taking time to journal and, do those little things that I know keep me mentally on track, but also physically on track, right? Am I eating right? Am I doing all these things? So, maybe make a quick list of the things that you want to make sure that you start doing again in your life. And little by little, start attacking it. Okay. And like I said, when I read my notes, you're not looking for perfection. You're looking for progress. So let's say that you tell yourself, I'm going to start getting back up. Maybe let's say you tell yourself, I'm going to start getting up at 5:30 in the morning again. And first thing in the morning, meditate, not look at my phone. Next day, you wake up, but you accidentally look at your phone. And maybe it takes you an hour before you meditate. Okay. Not ideal. You didn't honor your word, but you did it. Okay. So don't beat yourself up. You did it. You pushed yourself even though you didn't want to. Because let's be real, the reason that you did not jump right up and go into that is because you are resisting it. Because it sounds terrible, but as human beings, we actually are addicted to suffering. A lot of us are very addicted to suffering, and we actually want to wallow in what feels bad. So we know that doing this is going to make us feel better. So somehow on a subconscious level, because remember, we're always operating from that subconscious, which is 95% of the time. Only 5% are we operating from what we're actually consciously telling ourselves. So our body wants to stay stuck in that misery. So it's going to resist and it's going to tell you, you don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable. Ugh, I don't want to. I don't want to. Let's do this instead. Right? It's like the devil and the angel on one shoulder, right? Telling us like, oh, no, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Yes, you do. So this is where you can't rely on motivation because motivation won't get you through that. You're not motivated. Your subconscious is literally screaming at you, you don't want to do this, but you know better. So this is where you have to kick into discipline and say, okay, every day I'm going to get a little bit stronger at resisting the urge not to do it. And I'm going to get a little bit better at just doing it. So again, building discipline isn't about perfection. It's about just those gradual steps to getting us to our goals of the life habits that we want to create. And like I said, habits aren't developed overnight. They say there's that theory that it takes 21 days to create a habit. I don't know if that's true, but I do know that after 21 days of doing something, it's definitely going to be a lot easier to resist any lack of motivation. In fact, you're probably going to be motivated because you're going to be feeling good about yourself and the fact that I have done it. And it's like, you don't want to disappoint yourself by not doing it at that point. Make sense? Okay. Let's move on to tip number 3. All right. So watch what you are consuming. All right. So I don't have to read all that. I know what I wanted to say. So when I say watch what you're consuming, this does not just mean physically. This does not just mean what you're eating, although it does include what you are eating. Are you eating a lot of high processed foods, a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, a lot of things that feel good in the moment, but don't actually give your body the nutrients that it needs? So then you need to look at that. And again, that goes back to the discipline. You don't want to. Let's be real. When we feel down, all we want is the junk food, right? So you're going to crave it. That's why it's called comfort food, right? A lot of carby foods, starchy foods, those are all what we consider comfort foods, very heavy. And then they just make you feel down and wait. And it kind of mimics your mood already. So you want to be more mindful and think, okay, I need to give my body what it needs, not what I want. Okay, need versus want. So now when I said it's more than just that, watching what you're consuming is not just about the food. Important part, not just about your food. It is also what you are consuming visually. What are you watching? What shows do you watch? Do you watch the news every day? Well, that's not a terrible thing. It's always good to be up to date and know what's going on in the world. When you have the news on all day, every day, believe it or not, that'll mess with your brain because you'll just get into doom and gloom, right? Doom and gloom will play in your subconscious. That 95%, that's what's going to be circling in your brain. Okay. Or do you watch a lot of drama shows? Like I remember there was a time when I was probably in my darkest place. And when I really thought about it, like all I was addicted to watching was heavy duty drama shows. Lots of violence, lots of like fighting, lots of cheating and all these things. And so in my brain, I started feeling like, oh my God, this is what the world consists of. The world is an ugly place. People are ugly. People are horrible. People do terrible things. And yes, while some people do terrible things because the world needs balance of good and evil, while there are people that do terrible things, and while everyone has the ability to do something terrible, there's also really great people out there. And so you have to be very careful of what you're consuming and maybe either shift what you're watching during that period, at least not to say you can never watch the things that you enjoy, right? You like crime documentaries or like I said, like drama shows or thrillers or whatever it is. I'm not saying you can never watch that, but I am saying that if you're in a dark place, that's not the time because you're already in that dark place. So be mindful. So it's what we're consuming physically, visually, also auditorily. Okay. So what are you listening to? Do you like to always have podcasts on in the background? That's great. You're always learning, right? Or do you like to always have music? Do you always need to talk to someone? So you need to be really mindful of what or who are you auditorily consuming and what kind of a message are they feeding you? This all goes back to what I said about the visual. If it's all doom and gloom, or if you call that one friend every day and all they do is complain about their life or tell you about how horrible people are or whatever the circumstances, or give you really horrible, maybe well-intentioned, but horrible advice, maybe you need to curb that back. If the podcasts that you're listening to aren't lifting you up and they're making you feel kind of down or, not enough, then maybe you need to, again, not permanently, but at least during that time, watch what you are consuming auditorily. Also, this is something that I'm going to talk about later. Maybe it's not that it's bad what you're consuming auditorily, but maybe it's just too much external stimulation. So maybe You need to allow yourself that time and space for quiet, to get comfortable with just being still with yourself. So we said physically, visually, auditorily. And another big one, and I don't know if this is it, I think this is like my main points, but spiritually, you know, what are your spiritual beliefs? What are your spiritual practices? What do you turn to in your times of need? What do you look to for guidance, you know? And if you don't have anything, that's going to be another thing that's going to really, I hate to say it, mess with you. I don't mean to sound judgmental, but I think it's really important to have some type of a faith and a belief in something. You know, for those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that I have talked about my faith. You know, I am Christian, I'm Catholic. Um, and I have a very strong foundation relationship with God and Jesus Christ. That doesn't have to be what you believe. Okay. But I do think it's important that you find faith in something. Okay. Um, that's going to be a really good stronghold for you to hold on to in those times of need so that you know you're not alone. You know, for us to sit here and think that we came out of nothing is absurd. You know, we came from somewhere. Something created us, and I don't care what you call it. I'm not here to judge you. I hope you're not here to judge me. I don't care what you call it, but I just care that you acknowledge that you were created by something, someone, for a purpose. I know what I believe, and I honor your beliefs. I just hope that you take the time to sit down and really think about that and think about the miracle and the magic that that is, that your creator thought so highly of you that they did create you. That wasn't by accident. That wasn't for no reason. Now, some of us waste our reasons. Some of us use our free will and make poor choices, and we miss out on our purpose and our destiny. But we were all created for a reason. We were all created, just that's it. We were all created, you know, like that in itself says you have value. So don't waste that. All right. So we talked about being mindful of what you are consuming. And there may be other points, but that's all I could think of. Oh, mentally. I forgot that one. That's a big one. What you're consuming mentally. Now, this is the really hard one because, again, our subconscious really runs the show a lot of the times. And sometimes your brain will lie to you to keep you safe. It thinks it's keeping you safe, but really it's just keeping you in your loop because it only wants you to stay with what you know, what you already know, what's familiar. Anything that's unfamiliar is uncomfortable and it tries to tell you, no, that's dangerous. We don't know what's over there. We know the devil over here. We don't know the devil over there. You know what I mean? Like, but you have to really be mindful of guarding your mind. Okay. When you have those intrusive thoughts, when you have those negative thoughts, you have to get, again, so disciplined to tell yourself, no, not today. I'm not going to believe that today. I'm going to release that. That's not my thought. That's what my brain wants me to think, but that's not my chosen thought. And I'm not going to accept that today. And that's probably the hardest one out of all of these is battling and watching what you consume mentally because it's an internal struggle, right? It's very easy to cave into it and just assume, well, if my brain is telling me that, then it must be true. But is it? Okay. So that was, I believe, point number 3. Point number 4. I talk about this all the time. And I kind of just touched on it for a second. But number 4 is meditate and pray to calm and quiet your mind. So again, like I said before, you know, sometimes we don't realize that we constantly have this background chatter. Like, do you always have to have something going on in the background just to like keep your mind from like focusing on what your mind is focusing on? Well, that's where you want to learn how to calm and quiet your mind because a calm, quiet mind makes the best choices and feels the lightest. Guys, don't you want to feel light? Don't you want to feel free? Don't you want to feel unburdened by all the junk that is in your mind, outside of your mind, that is not yours? It's funny because last week I was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling her I'm not okay. You know, like I feel so anxious. But the weird thing is, I don't feel like this is my anxiety. And I had to stop and realize it wasn't my anxiety. It was the anxiety that was being put onto me by all the stuff that I was consuming auditorily. Okay. So sometimes when we have too much going on in the background, that can create anxiety in you and this feeling of discomfort and dis-ease that it's not even yours. So be really mindful of like trying to give yourself that time. And if you struggle with this and you need help, I have definitely at least two full videos, maybe even more, I don't know, and a bunch of shorts about meditating and how to do it. And it's not as difficult as you think, guys. When I say meditate and pray, I don't mean that you have to follow any type of format, right? I just mean find what works for you and practice just being still and quiet for whatever amount of time works for you. Now, when you're just starting, I always recommend start with 2 minutes a day and gradually build. If you can go longer, great. But like, I don't want you to feel this pressure that, well, I'm doing it wrong, so I might as well not do it at all. No, you start however works for you in whatever way works for you. The point is not perfection. I'm always going to reiterate that, guys. We're not looking for perfection, we're looking for progress. So just start in whatever way works for you. And like, yes, in that latest video that I made, it was like a 3 minute, like breathe with me. I think it's like at 6 a.m., meditate with me. I'll link all these videos in the description box, but like in that video, I went through my steps of how I do it, but you don't have to do all that stuff. Like, let's say you literally only have 2 minutes, just like put a timer on and just be quiet. Just shh, don't listen to anything and just practice just getting comfortable in silence. Because that's something that I will tell you that when you're feeling a lot of undealt with feelings inside, sometimes the most mind-numbing thought is being still in silence. Like that just feels like you just want to like jump out of your skin. But sometimes that's exactly what you need. So give yourself that time. And I'm not saying you have to do it all day, but start small. You really want to push yourself though? Something that I did yesterday, um, I gave myself a little challenge and I did for, I forget how many hours I did. I want to say it was like 6 hours of, like, quiet. And by quiet, I don't mean that, like, I didn't talk to anybody. Like, yes, I talked to people, but, like, I didn't listen to anything. So normally I always have, like, my phone on YouTube or I have the car on music or whatever, and, like, as I was driving in silence and just being comfortable and being focused and being present on what I was seeing and what I was experiencing, trying not to be in my head, because that's the thing. Sometimes when I say be quiet, people assume, "Okay, now I'm gonna focus on all my inner thoughts," right? No. I don't want you to do that either. I want you to just be focused on the present moment. In fact, a great way to do this is to focus on your breathing. Like I just took a deep breath and that reminded me. Focus on your breathing. Actually, time your breathing. So that way, when you're thinking about 4 breaths in, 8 breaths out, or 4 in, hold 4, out for 4, hold 4. When you're thinking about your breathing, that makes it really hard to have any intrusive thoughts coming in at the same time, right? So maybe do something like that or just really focus on gratitude. That's another one that I love doing. Again, I've made at least 2, maybe 3 videos about gratitude. I'll put the links in the description box, but focusing on really looking for things to be grateful for. I like to think of it kind of like playing the license plate game or the red punch buggy game, where you're purposely looking for things. You'd be surprised when you purposely look for good, how much good you see. It's like the post that I made today about, I forget what it said, but it was something about like when you focus on you're focusing on, whatever fear you're focusing on is likely to manifest. That is not what it is, but it's something to that degree, right? And then in the caption, I did put, this also goes the same in reverse. When you focus on blessings and miracles, you'll be surprised at how many you'll see. And anytime I have challenged myself to do this, it never fails to always, one, shock the hell out of me at how many wonderful, great things are happening around me on a daily basis, but also how it improves my mood. So again, I know I'm not telling you these things saying, it's so easy, just do it. I know this is not easy. I know that when you're feeling down, these are like the last things that you want to do. And again, that's where discipline comes in. And that's where making the conscious choice to pull yourself out comes in because nobody else is going to pull you out. They may try, you may have friends that make you laugh and try to like distract you, but distractions aren't pulling you out. Distractions aren't helping you get through the fire, you know? So that's the thing. Like we all want to find a way to get around the fire. There is no way around the fire. The fire is there. You're going to get impacted by it somehow. Just learn to get through the fire so that the next time the fire comes, you're already flame retardant. All right? You're a little stronger. Your skin is a little thicker. You're a little tougher. Okay. And these obstacles become easier and easier and easier to navigate through. And I'm not saying that at any point things aren't going to phase you because of course, like life gets challenging sometimes, but you can always navigate through. So remember that you are stronger than you think. Okay. Oh, another point that I have here. So if you are struggling with being in complete silence, something that I also find that helps, not regular music, because even with regular music, you have to be very careful. It's tricky about the words that are sang because words hold power. Subconsciously, we take them in. And even if they're not our words, they hold weight. So you want to be very careful of that, but also even just tones, like different vibrations and tones of songs and the notes and the hertz and all that stuff like that. Um, it does affect your physical body. So something that I like to do when I'm really struggling to be in silence is look up like a cortisol detox music. So I found a really great like 5-song playlist on Pandora. I'll try to link that as well below. It's kind of weird though because I don't have the ad-free Pandora, so I think that's why I have to watch an ad to be able to watch this. So I have to watch an ad in order to listen to this playlist, and for some reason this playlist doesn't save in my history, but I have to say that it's really calming and really soothing. And then another option that you have is just doing like a search on YouTube for, cortisol releasing meditation. And I found ones that are like 8 hours, 11 hours. I'll try to also link some of those below. I'm going to try to link as many resources as I can for you guys in the description box because I'm kind of dumping a lot at you. But yeah, so anything like that, because believe it or not, those things help. I don't know how or why, but they do have a calming effect. It activates your cortisol release in a very positive way, and they do calm you from the inside out. So I strongly recommend that if you're struggling with complete silence. Moving on. All right. Tip number 5. This one is very challenging, especially if you have no choice but to be a very busy person. You have multiple jobs, you have kids, you have school, you have different kind of things going on in your life. Slow down. All right. It sounds counterintuitive, but believe it or not, when you allow yourself to slow down somehow, some way, it's almost like time bends and you're still able to get everything done because you're honoring yourself and you're able to get everything done properly. But you need to really get comfortable in decelerating your pace to calm your body. Because imagine you're trying to calm yourself, right? Like we're upset right now. We're working on trying to calm ourselves and bring ourselves into a better mood, but we're going to keep going at 100 miles a minute. How does that work? Make that make sense. It doesn't. Okay? You need to make the active decision to say, I'm going to set the pace. I'm going to set the tone that I'm going to move calmly and slowly and take everything as it comes, one step at a time. And I'm not going to overwhelm myself. And sometimes that does mean having to say no to things that maybe you've already previously said yes to. And that's okay. Listen, if you have to do that, you have to do that. You have to honor yourself. What I would suggest though, if that's what's going on, and let's say you made a promise to someone and you just for whatever reason just can't do it, don't just say, "Oh yeah, I changed my mind." That sucks. You know what I mean? I do want to. I've made it in videos before where I tell you like your friends will understand and people that love you will understand. Yes, they will. But if you love them, at least give them a little heads up, and people understand. Trust me. I had to say this to a client actually not that long ago where I was like, listen, like I need to adjust your appointment an hour later. And, I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. I'm having a hard time today. And I think a lot of people are scared to be vulnerable and say those things, but it's funny. She immediately turned around and said, "Oh, I get it. I actually had one of those days yesterday." Like people understand more than you think. And when you respect them enough to just say, "Hey, it's not about you," or "I'm not just being flaky, I'm struggling." Like people appreciate the realness. So slow down. Allow yourself to slow down. Allow your pace to drop so that your anxiety can drop, so that your mind can slow down, so that you can finally just feel calm and free. Because that's the thing, we shackle ourselves with this time restraints, right? And when you let yourself slow down, like I said, you'll be surprised how much more productive you'll be because you're not spending so much time panicking about the time restraint. All right. I kind of already touched on this, but find the gratitude. So this is again, forcing yourself. And this one's short and sweet because I have already talked about it and I'm going to link the videos below, but forcing yourself to pay attention to the present moment and observe the things that you can and likely should be grateful for. I hate the word should, but I was apprehensive to say it, but like it kind of fits here. All right. Like when good things are happening around you and to you, let yourself be grateful for them because it's only going to benefit you and those around you. Okay. So, again, if you want to know more about finding the gratitude, watch some of these other videos that I'm going to put in the description box, and you're going to get more than enough information on how to do that and even how to flip a day that's been really bad or perceived bad. Okay. Number 7, another short and sweet, easy one. Make time to be in nature. So that's actually one of the first things that I try to do when when I recognize that I'm not feeling my best. I immediately put the leash on my dog and say, "Let's go. Let's get outside." And sometimes it's not ideal. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's snowing. Sometimes it's raining. So, it doesn't always work. But whenever I can, I try to like push myself to get outside, even if it's cold. And on the days I'm having a particularly hard day, we will go for a longer walk. And I will just try to stay outside and just breathe in as much fresh air as possible and just remind myself what a blessing it is to be alive and to be outside and all the amazing things that exist in this world. The trees, the grass, the sun, all the beautiful things that we have. I sound so hippy dippy right now. I know, guys, but if you know me, you know that's who I am. Moving on. My phone keeps locking. Sorry. All right. Okay. Number 8, move your body. A body at rest stays at rest, but a body in motion stays in motion. And I know that it's difficult to get started, but this is again where discipline takes precedence. Remember, remind yourself that all you have to do is just start. Once your body starts moving, it will become so much easier to stay moving. So now, when I say move your body, that means in any way. What I don't want you to do is stay in bed. Okay. That's the worst thing you can do for many reasons. It's not great for your mind. It's not great for your body. It's just not good for your mental health. Okay. You need to do that for a day, for 2 days. Like I said, we talked about this. You're staying in bed for a week. That's a problem. Not a problem that you can't overcome, but it is an issue. And that is a sign of depression. So be mindful of that. Because now we've gone even a step further than what I'm trying to help you out of. Then you might need, some help with therapy. Although I'll tell you right now, I don't know a person that can't benefit from therapy. So whether or not you think you have depression, you're having a hard time, I highly recommend talking to a therapist. I digress. Back to the point, move your body. That can mean just simply getting out of bed and doing some light stretching, getting out of the bed and cleaning your house, going for a walk, like I just said. You like to dance? Dance. Dance is one of the best ways to move your body and shake out all of the feelings. I always tell my kids, so I teach dance. And I always tell the kids, use this dance floor as your therapy room. Leave whatever you are feeling on that dance floor. Shake it out of your body. So that's a great way, lifting weights, great. It's great for your mind. It's great for your body. And at the end of this, keep in mind, like you're only doing things that are going to benefit you long term anyway. Um, what else? What else? What else? Yoga's fantastic. Any type of movement really is going to just help. Um, if you don't want to do any of those things, I've talked about this again in that video about, the tips to relieve anxiety and CPTSD. Take your hands and just push against a wall as hard as you can. You don't think you're moving because technically you're standing still, but energetically you are. The pushing action, it's such a release. You don't know how many times I've done that and I've just started crying because I'm releasing all of this stuff that I didn't even know was in there. Okay? Move your body. It's going to feel good. Okay? It's going to benefit you. It's going to feel good. Okay, tip number 9, we're almost done. Tip number 9, very easy. Well, it's easy to say. It's not easy to do when you're not feeling your best, but do your best. And I said your best because you're not going to necessarily maybe want to do it perfectly or how you normally do. Do your best to put yourself together, guys. Brush your hair. Put a little lipstick on, a little lip gloss. If makeup's not your thing, just put clothes on that make you feel together. Like, it's very easy when we're not feeling our best to just want to be in sweats and have a messy bun and just dwell in the yuck, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with being in sweats. There's nothing wrong with a messy bun when it's your choice. But when you're doing it because you feel like and you want your external to look like, that's a problem. Okay. You need to keep taking care of yourself because that's just going to perpetuate that feeling of being down. Okay. Do little things just to keep yourself feeling like, okay, I'm loving me. Because that's the thing. When we're not taking care of ourselves, we don't love ourselves. Okay. And when you don't love yourself, it's really hard to be confident, to feel like enough, to feel like you are worthy. You need to take action to make sure that you are taking the best care of yourself, whatever that looks like. There are no hard and fast rules here. You don't have to follow my guidelines with that. Whatever is putting yourself together for you, do your best to do some level of that, even if you can't do it all. Do some level of your normal putting yourself together. Okay. It's funny because I think about that episode of what is it? How I Met Your Mother. How, Marshall's depressed about, I think he lost his job or something, and he doesn't wear pants. Oh no, it was when he broke up with Lily, when Lily and him broke off the engagement. And they know he's depressed because he's not wearing pants. It's not until he finally puts pants on that they know, okay, the depression is ending. So I just thought of that, and that's a perfect example. Okay, last and final tip for now, and not to say that these are the only ways or once you do all these steps, you're perfect, but this is my last tip. Okay, find reasons, ways, and people to laugh with. Laughter is always going to be one of the best medicines out there. You need to allow yourself to lighten up and laugh. Okay, so like I said, places, people, things, whatever it is, be around friends that make you laugh. I know I have this one girlfriend that it doesn't matter how much time passes, how long we don't see each other. When we do see each other, like we just start talking and reminiscing and telling stories, and like we are cracking up by the end, like to the point where like we can't breathe. And I love visiting her for that reason, just because it's like we have so many good memories together. And it just feels good to remember a simpler time and to just laugh. If you don't have a friend like that, which I hope you do, and I'm sad if you don't, but if you don't, that's okay. Put on like a comedy special. Put on a show that you know makes you laugh. Go to the park and people watch. There's a lot of reasons to laugh. It sounds terrible, but you see somebody trip and you can just giggle. Like I don't want you to be mean or cruel, but anything that will make you laugh, chuckle, smile, go for it. Okay. Whatever makes you laugh, makes you feel light in your heart, do it. Because that's going to be the best medicine. Even if you're not down, laughter is just one of those things that keeps you young. So I highly recommend finding ways, reasons, and people to laugh with. All right. And then I did have my closing out notes that I wanted to go through. All right. Do you guys want to recap really quick? Yeah, why not? Okay. So tip one, first and foremost, let yourself feel all the feels. Tip number 2, discipline over motivation. Tip number 3, watch what you're consuming. Number 4, meditate and pray to calm and quiet your mind. Tip number 5, slow down. Number 6, find gratitude. 7, make time to be in nature. 8, move your body. 9, put yourself together every day. And 10, laugh. Okay, so bottom line, I'm just gonna read my notes. I'm sorry for feeling disengaged. Bottom line, I just want to remind you that it's up to you to take your mental health seriously. And when I say this, I don't mean that there's something wrong with you. There's not. But we all go through days of ups and downs. We all go through days where we're struggling through something. And in those moments, it's really important that we take the responsibility of acknowledging that we're not okay and that it's okay to not be okay. But it's also our responsibility to find ways to nurture ourselves to get back into being okay. So remember that your peace is priceless and you owe it to yourself to give yourself the space and time to get where you need so that you can make the most of your days and feel your best. So I hope that that was helpful. I hope that you guys found some tool, maybe whether you take one, two, three, all the tips, whatever it is, to help you feel better today. And if you are going through a challenging time right now, or heartbreak, or just in a rut or a dark place, just know that I am always sending you so much love. You are not alone. There are so many people out there battling things that you know nothing about, but we can all be there for each other and be kind to each other. And if you do need help or there's something that you're struggling with, please feel free to, drop me a comment, send me an email at thelimitlessbabe@gmail.com, and I will do my best to check. Just do me a favor in the subject, write coaching so that I actually see it. And let me know what you're struggling with, and maybe we can either work one-on-one or I can make a video about that topic to maybe help you and someone else. So, as always, like I said, I am sending you guys so much love. I am thanking you for being here. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, like this video, and drop me a comment, and stay limitless. I love you guys so much.